So the way you experience it is often a great way to honor it. Just follow your path. Anything that connects us is worth doing. But I still acknowledge certain lineages within that if I'm working with that practice. So self-practice, lineage practice. Yeah, we appreciate it all.
Jim
Cool.
Jim is moving back in, but Chris with a K has got his hand up. Jim, are you okay with him going next, or do we? Okay, Chris with a K, you can jump in anytime.
So I see what you're saying with the lineage and following that lineage practice. What do you feel about it morphing into something new from all that, like taking pieces from here and there and creating something new? Do you see that happening? Is he still there? We lose him?
Get back in here. To me, there is a time of coming together. To me, we are in that time now. We are in the times of change. We can call it the times of prophecy. And it's happening now. And we are learning to integrate many ways. I won't try and go into detail with it because I don't feel I could do it justice. But I know we're being drawn forward into a new way of being. And it's not the way itself is new. We're waking up to what's always been there, what our original potential, which goes back to the original blueprint in which we're first created, which is part of this living being we call life, we call the universe, or whatever you want to quantify it or look at it with. To me, when you're really in it, it is unlimited. And yeah, new ways are always evolving as culture and life, environmental changes. There is adapting going on. And I'm seeing different tribes and cultures and peoples coming together, sharing ways and developing practices from that. Because we each bring our own understanding. And once again, I honor them for what they are, where they come from. Listen to the understanding that's been gained over generations. And even the ancestors have much that comes through to share. And I do see times are changing, and we're having to change because the earth is changing, which means the way we've got to relate to her changes as well. So talking stick in the middle.
Just want to jump in there and reiterate what we had talked about earlier, that this is indeed the medicine of both the Phoenix and the Thunderbird really are occurring at the same time. And it kind of speaks to that yes, indeed, two very unlike creatures and beings can function and do their medicine at the same time. And that was a big eye opener for me tonight, Jim. All right, talking stick in the middle.
Okay, I'll take it since I'm back. Sorry, I literally had to get in the car and drive down below because my internet really went out this time. But I'm back. And so I'm just seeing from Tom was just sharing notes here. And I'm sorry, but I couldn't do anything while I was driving. And tapping into your Phoenix and Thunderbird thing, he's realizing that it goes even further. He's still typing it. Oh, I see what he's saying. All right. So traditionally, Phoenix is in Turtle Island, North Americas. Phoenix is the bird in the prophecies. Thunderbird is generally in the South American spheres. But here we are tonight. Here you are talking about them working together. Isn't that what you were saying at the beginning of the show? Yeah, I think it definitely is. And this is a time, it's that shift over. The prophecies go on to say that and I mentioned it earlier, I think. Everything has to be in system. Big right now, balance. Male and female have to be balanced. Once, yeah, I think we are. Ooh, here it comes. You're stealing my. Yes, we're starting to create that new Earth already. The way I say it is we're reweaving it. And that comes out of our ceremonies we used to do, where we always began or ended with, we don't ask for anything for ourselves, but to help to heal the sacred hoop wherever it's broken. Everything's so broken now, we have to weave it anew. And it's the same thing that Tom's saying, rebuilding, start to bring it up. So yeah, I think that's absolutely the way, and it's the way. I know when Chris and I work, we work with nature a lot, and the other Chris with the K obviously does as well. Um, that's the real teacher now. That's the one we have to listen to and do what it's telling us. Um, Pay attention to the animals, because the only time any animal species goes out of existence is if it no longer fits because it's out of balance. Often we cause that out of balance, unfortunately. So yeah, Phoenix and Thunderbird definitely working together now. Like you were saying, Valerie, I'm even more after tonight's show. It's like, oh yeah, I really feel it now. Stick in the middle.
I'll pick up that stick because now I know why I'm here. Well, I always know why, but I pulled this off the shelf today. It's a book called Soul Weaving. It's a channeled book, and it's I'm a big nerd professor over here. I have 50 million books, but what's really funny is that I'm a social worker, and I work with children and families, but my passion really is the soul work. So I say my evolution has gone from social worker to soul worker because I just began having these beautiful mystical experiences sitting in the energy of my clients where I began to feel the elements and feel what's going on and see in color. And it was confusing to me, but I was led to teachers who taught me about what that was. And I learned all different ways of energy medicine and management and measurement techniques. But I have been training in heart-centered hypnotherapy. And in my internship, we had to name our group, and we named it Philomena Phoenix Rising. So I've shared this member of the Native American All Women's Drum Band, award winning. They're so beautiful. They won awards before I joined 3 years ago, but they are called Spirit of Thunderheart. So there's the convergence once again. This is, returning to the heart of the mother. And so in many wisdom teachings, they say, the next coming of this Christ being is one thing, right? But in all of the teachings of Rudolf Steiner and the Waldorf schools, which is all based on the elements and nature and connecting that threefold human being, thinking, feeling, willing, is really all about returning to that sacred rhythm of the heart and the heartbeat of the mother and connecting with our beloved Mother Earth. So here I am, named Lupo, which is wolf, and then my Mohawk elder, gifting me the name Gentle Wolf. And that makes sense to connect with the heart and weave all the pieces of the soul together. And what does that look like? So this weekend I had an advanced training, and I was in this beautiful heart-centered breathwork session, and I had a lot of movement, and I went down on all fours. I became the wolf again, and I just felt it moving and being closer to the earth. So we're right on target. And what happens to me, I haven't studied. I'm beginning to study more of the prophecies, but what I know, and as I am reading or being told or in a group with people who are beautiful, like Jerry the storyteller, it's things that I've already remembered, and then I'm able to put it together. So for me, that's how I know we're on the right path in this work, and that it allows us to come to a place of stillness and trust that, as long as we maintain that heart and that love from our center, we will hold the line. That's why I think these circles are so vital for us to connect and share the love and see each other and remember that we've been here for a very long time and we've done it before and we'll do it again. Talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, I can't see anything now, so I'm just jumping in wherever because I'm on my phone. Um, yeah, that's interesting, Melissa, because I was doing some things this past weekend. I have a friend who's doing this new kind of training to bring in some hypnosis to what he's doing. And so he needed some, I was going to say volunteers, basically he needed guinea pigs. And since he knows I've done so much work, he said, can we try it? And yeah, sure, of course. But anyway, we went on for, man, he thought it would be 30 minutes. We went on for about 2 hours. But at one point, I definitely journeyed out, which I don't usually do unless I'm leading it, and totally remembered nothing. He recorded it. I still have to sit and play that. But yeah, it's interesting. Things now we have to, you said it, some things we can remember. We don't have to start everything new. And as we remember, we can look and feel into it and say, well, is it positive now or is this negative now? And then use it, lose it, or change it. Those are the three options. So yeah, I hear you. And I was really surprised because that sort of thing doesn't usually happen. But anything right now it's fair game. Stick back in the middle.
Okay, we've got Christopher from New Zealand up.
You're muted, Chris.
Thanks for that. I was going to say, Melissa, it's really appreciate what you added there. It really resonated for me as well. And yeah, yes, very much that heart-centered consciousness, which is, to me, the key. Thank you. Talking stick in the middle. And everyone's gone quiet.
I'll take the stick. Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, Melissa, everybody that I have been following for the past year and a half, although they are walking totally different paths, they all wind up back in the heart. That's where everybody winds up back to the heart. So there's 8 billion ways back to source, and it all leads to the heart. That's for sure. So thank you for that. Everything is working out. We're coming together like it's supposed to. Like to say, we are exactly where we agreed to be. Talking stick in the middle.
I can jump in
so
there.
I'll take it.
Yep.
Go ahead. I can't see anything, so I'm just guessing.
Yeah, me a bit too. I'm finding that thing, it's like when all of us are born, as we grow up, we're always looking for something. And that heart felt connection, that sense of presence, of being the present I am, present in this moment, present in my body, present in my experience, and my spiritual connection in whatever way that appears. You know, we're always looking, who am I? Where am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? And to me, the heart is the place that we find all those answers. And it has an understanding and openness that, no brain process I know of does. And that's why we step out of the brain. So we're letting go of the limitations of thought and thinking to come into the total openness of the heart, which is, way cool. Talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, that really is cool. And now I'm thinking, as you're speaking, Chris, something we talked about a couple of times in the last couple of days. Tom shared with me a language group up there in Pine Ridge today, and they have I forget what he said. Correct me, Tom. 12 of the youth corps, but there's a second group working with them off the res, and Tom's just saying, and we haven't even heard from that group in 8 or 9 years when they moved off the res to do some other work. And that's another thing that's been going on, and that's part of this too. I'm not sure how it fits with Phoenix and Thunderbird, but maybe it does. I've had all these people, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 of them now in the last 2 days actually, who I have not heard from, seen, or experienced in years. One it's been 40 years, and he reached out. Wow, it's so great to see you. Thank you for all you taught me. That was 40 years ago. And then others are reaching out. And other people said they're experiencing the same thing. So the circles, which are also critical, the circles are forming, but I don't think it's quite this. They're forming, yes. Some of us have been in the same circles, but that's so we can connect up the circles with other circles, I believe now. So that the hoops are bigger. The sphere, what we're doing is bigger. The balance is better. So anybody wants to hit with that one? And one more thing, Melissa, I had a thing yesterday. I was wolf again too. That often happens when I journey. I'm either eagle or wolf, depending on whether I need to see far ahead or need to be grounded. But I think that's also happening with a lot of folks. Stick in the middle.
I gotta jump in there on that one. In our morning circle, we have this wonderful spiritual guide, Marina O'Hare from Ireland, and she brought us on a journey to meet our relatives. And in the process, I became a wolf, which was just an amazing experience. I mean, like my sense of smell, I could smell everything, I could hear everything. It was wonderful and amazing, and an unexpected turn. I didn't think I'd turn into a wolf. I thought I would meet a human relative, but apparently our relative is indeed, I became one with the wolf. So wonderful experience.
I'll jump.
Yeah, and that is, go ahead. Go.
No, it just reminds me when I did my first past life regression training with Brian Weiss, who's the guru of the PLR movement, right? Everybody was reconnecting with their soulmates in the audience, and I became a bee, and I was so upset. So, Jim, you reminded me of that going, yeah, I even go from eagle to wolf, and I'm like, well, yeah, Melissa means honeybee, and Lupo means wolf, so I go from, now it makes sense. I just think that creator is so funny when you get a human name and what what that means, right? And I just want to welcome Sarah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that whole animal guide thing is interesting because when people ask me to teach that or work with them on that, all too many think that they're going to get a lion or a wolf or a bear or some big, and occasionally you'll get a bee or an earthworm And I always look at their faces and they're like, what the hell? But there's inherent strength in each creature. So yeah, again, to have balance, they have to all be represented. But it's funny. My first animal who came to me was wolf, and I realized he'd been there my whole life. But my second one was the earthworm, and I thought, wow, what did I do wrong? And then I had to be reprimanded. It's a good word, I guess, by a couple of my teachers. Like, what are you questioning? Find out what earthworm does. And as I found out of all the things the earthworm does, okay, I see the teaching. And when you feel an animal like that, that is true shape-shifting. That's what they're talking about when they talk about shape-shifting. When your energy, your spirit can move into an animal and you become that animal at some level. Stick in the middle.
I can just add in there, first animal I got drawn to was prairie dog.
Hmm.
I just want
And
to
so
add
why,
to
and
that.
what did that tell you?
I can't remember at the moment. I know when I said it, the person that was guiding me through it told me what prairie dog was about and the relevance of
Okay.
prairie dog.
Uh-huh.
And I remember at the time it was actually quite an impactful teaching. And yeah, I just got so much from that. So I was really grateful for the elder for guiding that, helping. Yeah, it was impactful at the time for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, this is your friend's book, right, Jim? Aren't you? Weren't this was Jamie was your good friend, right?
Jamie, yeah.
The medicine card. So funny, Chris. I actually, because I use her cards quite often, I pulled Prairie Dog yesterday. So I guess Creator knew that you
Oh,
were
wow.
coming along. So that's why I'm laughing because they're right here, just like the Soul Weaving book.
Yep.
Prairie Dog calls me when it's time to rest, when it's time to honor the internal quest. I go into my retreat so I may see a way to replenish the potential in me.
Got it. Still relevant today as much as it was at the time. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
This is very heartfelt, appreciated. Thank you, Melissa.
I believe that's
So
universal
why don't
medicine.
we, just to see how this is going, of course, no coincidences. So earlier, Tom had written, hey, Jim, we were pulling cards sometimes. How come we stopped? It's nice to discuss them too. So, of course, so what else do you want to share on what does it have for the reading on that?
Prairie Dog Medicine teaches that strength and inspiration can be found by retreating into the stillness that quiets the mind. The strength of this medicine is also knowing when and how to replenish your life force. Prairie Dog Medicine tends to seek the self-empowerment in silence and inactivity, where they can access dreams and visions without the intrusions of worldly chaos. When they re-enter the world, they are profound and powerful anchors of calm resolve amid life's storms. The medicine of Prairie Dog is applicable to all of the Marmot tribe, which includes the ground squirrel clan, the gopher clan, the woodchuck, and the groundhog. Oh, and it was just Groundhog's Day yesterday.
Yep. Yep.
As Native American warriors knew when to charge forward and when to become invisible, the Marmot tribe knows how and when to retreat. The prairie dog runs for the tunnels when a predator is on its trail. In the winter, it conserves energy by hibernating during the scarce time of the cold moons. If Prairie Dog has surfaced in your cards today, it may be a warning that your body's fuel gauge is running low. You might need a day of silence or retreat from regular activities before you become too exhausted to carry on. Have you put your basic needs at the bottom of the to-do list? Burning the candle at both ends may weaken the punch you can normally pack when tackling the tasks at hand. Take a much-needed break before you crash and burn. Prairie Dog teaches you that in order to access gifts of inspiration and renewal, you must be at peace with yourself and rested enough to recognize the blessings being offered. If you've been battling a situation without gaining ground, Prairie Dog reminds you that pushing too hard can create a resistance that does not allow for interaction. Take a break. Give it a rest. After a comfortable and relaxed time, you can return with a fresh perspective. In the meantime, the dynamics of the situation may have changed because your retreat allows the present challenge to work itself out. There is ample strength available if you quit pushing and go with the flow. Prairie Dog says its tunnels run both ways now. It's time to choose the back door exit for some rest and relaxation. There's a contrary.
Good.
Do you want me to read that? There's two, or is that?
Yeah, go ahead. So the contrary is relevant if you pull a card and it's upside down.
Okay, so that's what only
Or-
read that. Or it's the shadow aspect of the Prairie Dog. That's the way I
Yeah.
interpreted it. Do you want me to read
Yeah,
it? Or?
because it can also appear as just making sure people understand what you don't get them both at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, that's with any archetype, light and dark.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
on the contrary, the worry bug may have bitten Prairie Dog, and it appeared in the contrary. Has the workaholic syndrome gotten the best of your inner knowing and sensible outlook on life? Have you been tunneling in a non-productive direction because you forgot to come up for air? I'm just going to pause, and there are children listening to this. So I think that it's important that you think about the social media and the apps in reference to what I'm reading, okay?
Yep.
Because we can sub workaholic into doom scrollaholic, whatever you want to call it, or Snapchat streakaholic, or, you know, whatever we see, because we're talking about the youth. So this is good medicine for them and us as adults, because we are the ones my daughter said, but Ma, you're always on the computer on Zoom. I said, but I'm working. She goes, but you're on the screens too, Mom. But I tried to explain it's very different when you're using this for a positive experience with reverence and with, okay, we're going to close the circle now and put it down and go outside and walk the dog and connect with nature and hike, than opposed to if you're going to be getting off of this and just boom, 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 sending all messages and checking your streaks and your likes and whatnot. Okay, back to the workaholic syndrome. Gotten the best of your inner knowing and sensible outlook on life? Have you been tunneling in a non-productive direction because you forgot to come up for air? Look around and get your bearings. Have you become addicted to the adrenaline created by scurrying to catch up or to keep up with your streaks, right? If you get sick from the chaos of overactivity, you may have an unwelcome and enforced rest period at hand. Constant stress can steal your inspiration and ability to think on your feet. On another contrary message of Prairie Dog is believing that compromise or retreat is a sign of weakness. Goodbye lie. You can get stuck in a one-way tunnel if you let your head get too big. If you cannot be still, be comfortable alone, And or if you cannot delegate responsibility, you need a reality check. Do not be afraid to take a break, to refill your resources, and to adopt a healthy, more relaxed viewpoint. Contrary, Prairie Dog also teaches that pushing too hard can have dire consequences. The cemeteries are filled with people who once believed that they were indispensable. What medicine? Thank you, Chris, for bringing up the Prairie Dog. I think that was so pertinent to our youth and what's going on and what's been my life's work and the research that I've done as a social worker studying play and sedentary behavior and the effects of our mental health and the rise of depression and anxiety. My 13-year-old was sharing about, we were talking about antidepressants today, and she was showing me all the kids, and she knew all the things because of all the kids on TikTok that are sharing about all the meds that they're taking.
Yep.
Talking stick in the middle. This is an epidemic. This is what we need to focus on, because how are we going to think clearly, and how are youth going to think clearly to maintain this balance that's so needed? I keep hearing, the Dave Matthews song, because yesterday was 2 by 2, two-step. We climb on 2 by 2 to make sure these days continue. Thank you. Talking stick in the middle. And if anybody else wants a card.
Oh, okay. So before we jump off that, for those who want to try cards, some of you probably already do, Jamie Sam's medicine cards are, to me, the number one cards. And there's 2 different versions. The first one she did alone. The second one she did with another author. I prefer the first one. And having known Jamie, these are real. These will give you, look at what we're getting out of this right now. If you want to go even further and really explore an animal, then pick up Animal Speak. Get yourself the book Animal Speak. That's the best book there is on exploring what these animals can tell you from an indigenous perspective. So those are good tools. And there's others out there, but for me, those are the 2 top. We were talking at the beginning of the show a little bit, Melissa. Yeah, because you're right. And Tom's on, he's going, yeah, talk about depression. Shall we add suicide in there? Because that's epidemic on the reservations too. Well, we were talking in the beginning with everything going on right now, and I have tons of people coming and saying, wow, I said, I give up. I'm depressed. There's no hope, blah, blah, blah. And what we were saying then, and it's good to repeat it, and to me, it's glass half full or glass half empty. Yes, we can do that, and that's glass half empty, and it's draining out, and we're all done. I prefer to look at the opposite. We've got a lot of positive things happening right now. That's the glass half full, and it's going to fill up again. If we keep our energy there, especially collectively, that's where we'll go. That's what we're reweaving. And so it's, for my vision I had way back when, which my nonprofit is based on, it's combining the wisdom of the ancestors, current scientific wisdom, and what the earth is teaching us. Those are the 3 pieces. And if we can just hold there, stay there, it makes life easier. The young people, it's not an easy time, but it never was. And it probably never will be for any of the youth, but we don't want to make it harder than it has to be. And if we go into those depressed states because of the things we see, that makes it harder. If we see those things and say, okay, we have to get through this because it's showing us these are the things we have to work on. That's all. Stick in the middle.
Yeah, I'll respond to you, Jim. I was, this is another specialty, unfortunately, suicide. I volunteered for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for 10 years. I was an executive board member of the Nassau County chapter. And I worked with survivors and I worked with the youth, and I spent a lot of time. So I was a school social worker for 12 years. And alongside that, I would go into the different schools and I would educate on the signs and the symptoms. And I ran a suicide prevention program called the Natural Helpers in the high school. And it was an amazing program. And it's one that, we can adapt. And I've worked on this. I want to do a digital version of this where it's, if you see something, say something, where people identify people that are already in their communities as natural helpers. And we could do this with the youth. And from there, we train them in active listening and active skills and signs and symptoms and how to refer to an adult that they trust. And then we bring them up from like a student body of 1,600. We took 60 kids on a retreat for a weekend, and we taught them all about the signs and the symptoms of abuse and neglect and suicide, active listening, counseling skills, and different ways to treat, and to triage this and bring it to an adult that they trusted. And it was an amazing, as the social worker of the school, I can tell you the referrals and the increase of children who receive services for their what was going on. And we know that the sedentary behavior, the average child, when I did my research, I started my PhD, I think it was like 10 years ago. I didn't finish the social work. Now I'm in divinity school. It's another story. But what I saw was the average the average child was like 7 to 9 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity a day. And that was 10 years ago. So we know when we're sedentary and we're not moving, that our brain is just misfiring, and then the dopamine that's going on. And I mean, there's some excellent resources. One website that I love on Instagram is Scrolling to Death. That's a really great resource. And on Instagram, there's a lot of these resources that are showing, and these places are not protected. Roblox, Snapchat. I've spoken to local detectives. I've worked with them, and there's nothing they can do. So children, not only is it that, but it's they're getting drugs. I was talking to a nurse practitioner who works at the inpatient unit at Mather Hospital today, and she was sharing how many kids are getting psychotic just from like the vaping the marijuana and all this stuff. And it's just regular. They think that they're smoking regular marijuana. It's not that bad. And their inpatient unit is full of just children smoking marijuana, and they're psychotic. So this is coming firsthand message today. This is what's on the streets here in Long Island. I'm sure it's increased when there's less services involved. It's something we definitely need to speak about and talk about implementing some programs, within the electronics, but also on the ground.
Melissa, explain a little bit more what you mean by the marijuana. Was it laced with something else that caused them to? Can you explain?
No. So the levels of THC, because of all of these different strains, it's like 30 to 40 to 50% stronger than it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when people had, regular, with all of the technology. And then they may infuse it, 30 years ago, we had to worry. I remember they used to spray rat poison and different things in different marijuana plants, and people would get extra high from that. I can remember being a kid in college and high school about that. Now it's chemicals, and everything is, altered and genetically modified, and you don't know what else they're putting in these liquid vaporizers. And then what they're doing is their drug dealers are on Snapchat. They're called plugs, and any child can just. They don't know these kids. And I had a very long discussion with the special victims detectives this summer in my local town about what they're seeing, because I've traditionally worked in medical social work too, and I've worked with special victims units over the years, and I have a relationship, and I asked them what they do, and some, they just don't even have a task force about this. It just goes unnoticed. So this is a major issue among our youth, because they're being poisoned and they're becoming psychotic over just marijuana. It used to be, psychedelics used to send kids, into that state, not marijuana. Marijuana used to be the drug that was the one that wasn't addicting. It was, you didn't need a detox, or you didn't need to medicate, you didn't need to go inpatient. I worked at the inpatient unit 25 years ago or more than that at my local hospital when I was an intern. And, you know, we saw, you know, heroin and alcohol, but never marijuana ever. But people are being admitted because they're psychotic, which psychotic is hearing things, seeing things that are not there. For those that don't know what the definition of psychosis is, you know, experiencing sensory things, you know, that other people don't, or hearing voices, command auditory hallucinations, things like that, telling them to do negative things. It's different than having a spiritual experience. This is mental illness.
Once a student has or child has become psychotic, are they able to, is it physiological damage, or are they able to be worked with to come back out of that state?
Oh, of course, but a lot of times with any kind of psychotropic medication, there's no blood test to say, oh, you need 20 milligrams of Zoloft and you need the antipsychotic Zyprexa. It's a trial and error. So they may give them risperidol and have, you know, risperidol has the side effect of lactating breasts, but they still give it to children. They may give them Depakote, makes them gain a tremendous amount of weight. There's all these different side effects that they put them on antipsychotic medications, and then they can't sleep. So they're giving them Klonopin to sleep at night, and then, oh, melatonin, and then, you know, it just go, and then on. And I can't tell you how many of my students over the years went to a doctor for anxiety, was prescribed Xanax, which is a narcotic, becomes addicted to Xanax, then that turns into OxyContin, then it turns into heroin, and then they're dead. And that's, you know, there's not a lot of oversight. A lot of mainstream doctors will diagnose depression and give them antipsychotics. I was like, well, would you go to a podiatrist if you had an issue with your heart? But you'll go to a GP when you have an issue with your brain. People don't necessarily, you know, and it's an okay thing, and it's common. So, talking stick in the middle. Chris has his hand up.
Okay. We just opened up a big can of worms. That it progressed to them being dead. The government's job used to be they used to control us through war. That's how they did population control. They'd ship us off and get us killed in a jungle somewhere or in some desert land fighting for some bullshit that they talk about. But that's how they control the population. That was Vietnam. That was all about. Too many kids standing on the street, nothing to do, no jobs. What are you going to do? Send their ass off to the jungle, let them get killed. They don't come back. We don't have to worry about it no more. That's what they're doing with the drugs. The heroin. Oh, here's some, what's the big ones that they give for the heroin? They're just government drug pushers is all they are. They're just drug pushers. They'd rather get the money than there's people on the street. There was a concept where you made it accessible by everybody. And it would work itself out that way. No crime, no syndicates, all that would be removed. And then it's on the people. It's on the people. They're going to do it. Everybody is addicted to something. We have an addictive nature. That's what we are. So yeah, it's a different approach. You can't take it away. We were talking about that earlier. You can't destroy something. You can't remove it. You have to transmute it. So if it's not love, it's just unfinished. We're going with that one for now. So then we have to finish it. Finish it with love. Because like Chris said a while ago, it's love. Everything's love. Everything is love. Made from love, of love. The universe is love. It's all back to the heart. Baby Jesus pointing, telling everybody. He didn't need a book. That wasn't his book. He didn't need a book. He had a motion to that was the secret right there. And now we're all waking back up to that because we know it already. We just don't remember. And we need to find better resources. Get back to source. But we're all going same place together. That's what I'm having a hard time right now with this, with the shift. I think it's like the split, this earth, that earth. And then they're saying people's going to miss the chance, but how can you, I don't know how they can say that because all it is a frequency. It's not like we're going anywhere. We're just going to vibrate up to another frequency, another level where they can't, this group can't see that group, but you can reach down and touch them on the head and say, come on, tune that heart of yours. That's the dial. That's the frequency. That's how you find a frequency. I wanted to know, how do I get to these different frequencies? How do you tune into it? And Robert Everett Grant came on and said, the heart is the dial. You tune into the frequencies through the heart. And I thought, wow, he answered my question. And so I think we could eliminate a lot of time and effort if we focused on emotions and how to use the body, how to use this, how to tune the heart in. That class alone would take half of them out right there. They'd all, they have no choice. They have to lower oscillation. Lower oscillation is always entrained to a higher oscillation, or whatever that is. But is that taking away the free will? Is that why this is not implemented? Because it would be taking people's free will away. Gaia being the planet of free will. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be quiet. Sticks in the middle. I could go on a rant for a while.
You're right on. And what you were referencing was Portugal, in reference to drugs are not illegal. Yeah. And there's a great psychiatrist from Canada, Gabor Mate, if you're interested in learning more about addiction. Yeah, he's a great resource. I use that in my classes, excuse me, with my social work students.
It's not the addiction, it's the trauma. Heal the trauma, heal the addiction, falls away.
Yeah.
He's perfect. I love him. I found him a while back.
Yeah. And that's just it. And working in the detox unit and working and with children and families, and I grew up in those rooms myself, we know that people say, like, what do you love so much about being high, the heroin high? And it's like, well, it just feels like a mother's hug. And that's what we're missing. The mother.
That's the other part.
The mother, that's what we're looking for, is the love. Everything
That's why
we love.
act like they do. Everything love. And so many people had messed up mothers they did their best, but they were messed up by their mothers. It's the generational trauma. And then you got John Churchill talking about, not only is there generational trauma, but there's planetary trauma, civilization trauma, that from all the other civilizations that didn't make it through the golden age, we got to deal with that too. And so one day I became a rock. I became an agate. I was like, I'm going to become an agate. So I spent the day as an agate that was 65 million years old. And so when you're dealing 65,000 thousandths, you don't get in a hurry for nothing. I got picked up by a glacier, and was going to go down south for the summer. But I didn't know if we're moving yet, but I'm excited for the journey, just to become an agate. Yeah. Got to slow down, get in the heart. Anna Brown is another good resource for anybody who wants to learn how to get in the heart space, into the heart center. She popped me open like that. She has a way of speaking, and she talks Neville Goddard. You could definitely tell she's been steeped in Neville Goddard, and he was already easy to understand, sort of, but she makes it even easier. And nobody can mess with it. They try to take her down all the time, and I call it the Anna Brown smackdown. She says, "It's okay, friend. I know who you are. And when you remember who you are, you'll come back and we'll finish this conversation." I'm like, you can't argue with that. So check her out if anybody's interested. Anna Brown. She's young, for her 40s maybe, but she's on it. She's definitely on it.
I just want to jump in here a little bit and just say now, well, I'm open to whatever, but we did say that we were going to look at our sacred star connection, Melissa. So I don't know if it's too late to go into that, or if you wanted to mention that, just opening that up.
Did you have a specific question? I do good when you ask. Poke the bear.
That I can do. So, obviously we've gone into a little bit of the probably the dark side of looking at what drug abuse and really imbalance. We're talking about imbalance can do. Excessive scrolling, all that kind of stuff online, being inactive physically. Let's now look on the opposite end, which is what kind of things can we embrace that are good qualities? Obviously, technology can be used in a positive way, especially with the kind of gifts and talent that many young people have. So we're looking at now from the opposite side of the view of how can we embrace our and build on our gifts and our talents. Okay, our relationship with the stars by
This is pulling from some Steiner, but I just saw this and it's just this beautiful depiction of this fetus with the wrapped around the earth in the cosmos, and a lot of the teachings talks about our initiation coming here and being both, human and solar. And I think in our connection to it's a mirror, really. I mean, everything that we are is mirrored in our solar system. And so for me, I work with you. If you don't know, I teach a course. I do a talk called Frequency is Medicine. And I work with different tuning forks. And I use tuning forks because the frequency allows us to become coherent and in a state of resonance. And when we're in that state of resonance, we're able to get into that. I forget what we called it before, but we were referencing the node and that space between, that stillness, that quiet, the slowing down of the prairie dog. And I think that that's what's most important for our youth, is to realize just how small they are and just how connected we are to everything. I think, the biggest thing is people, it doesn't matter. I've worked with people, who were homeless to people who were multimillionaires. The question is, do you love me? Am I loved? How much do you love me? Who loves me? And what tickles their fancy is the connection to a boyfriend, to a girlfriend, somebody having interest in them. And so at the end of the day, when we realize how we are so connected to this vast universe and all these different star systems, without getting so esoteric, because I could go off on that. But we're just like we're a little drop in the ocean, but we are the ocean. And I think that is what we need to understand when it comes to our connection with the stars. There's a beautiful verse that I love, that I teach when I teach the coming of age for the youth in the Waldorf schools. Traditionally, I would teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and like the health curriculum. I've done a lot of things, but I love this one verse. Hold on. The wishes of the soul are springing. The deeds of the will are thriving. The fruits of life are maturing. I feel my destiny finds me. I feel my star finds me. I feel my goals in life. My goals in life are finding me. My soul and the great world are one. Life grows more radiant about me. Life grows more challenging for me. Life grows more abundant within me. And I think what's really important is that we introduce the cosmos and the study of the sun and the moon and the cycles and the stars to increase our intuition, to allow our souls to get on that vibration, understanding the cycles of the planets and what they do and their influence on our own personalities and people and the children. We're here to know thyself. That's what this human experiment is. We're going to drop you here. You were contracted for these lessons. And what does that look like in reference to being human and being divine and having that I am within, I kept hearing unveiling the I am. And I've been writing that for several months now. And what does that look like? And really understanding, I really do appreciate, these cosmic teachings because they allow us to understand that this is a Broadway play, and these are life lessons, and our mind is our biggest gosh, what would I even call it? Is the trickster.
Mm.
And if we learn to center and ground and balance and be connected to the natural rhythms of the earth and the cosmos, we can make better decisions and move on two by two. Like I said, I hope that answers some of what you're asking.
So, yes, it's powerful, Melissa, absolutely. How does maybe somebody who's never connected with like the moon or the stars begin that journey?
Who? What? A child, or we're talking to?
I think most of our the students that are on the phone, I think they're probably in that adolescent age, would be my guess.
Mm. I think starting to just do. I love frequency and I love music and coming together and feeling that vibration. I love running like youth circles and coming together and just begin to understand new moon and full moon can be a really great thing to start with and understanding what that is and lighting some candles and bringing in the elements and just creating a table for nature and what that looks like. So purpose to some outings and connecting. So if they go to the beach to collect a shell, or if they go into the forest to collect a pine branch, or a feather to bring in the air, and a candle to bring in the fire, and you can do that, and begin. I just think of like how I began because I wasn't really raised with anything. I discovered it on my own, different ways. And working in the Waldorf schools, I think it was a really nice universal way to bring in different festivals and different universal teachings, and then kind of see how they all are very common. So I think that could be one thing, just to learn the stages of the moon and understand how we can be, our moods. One thing I love is even moon lodges with the women, with the girls. I brought my daughters up to Moon Lodge and explain, we drummed and understanding that we all cycle with the moon. That's something coming of age for the youth to understand, and boys and girls together to honor the feminine and to honor what that means. So I think that that's a really nice way to start, is to understand how our bodies, before the invention of artificial light, women all cycled. They began their menstrual cycle with the moon, and that just shows the power of the cosmos has on us as humans. So I think that's a nice start, like a universal teaching to begin with our youth, connecting the physical body with the cosmos.
Yeah, I think about even just like I mark the moons on a calendar. And so I pay attention, because I certainly, the full moon definitely affects me. But I know that because I've paid attention, so I know when a full moon's coming to be gentle with myself because I'm going to have stronger emotions, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So maybe begin with the moon might be a good way to start.
When I ran my own businesses, my employees around full moon would always come to me, "Hey, Jim, how about take a couple days off?" 'Cause I really was hard to be around. The moon just would make me very cranky.
Well, that's where they get lunatic from.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I worked in the ER for 7 years. Full moons,
Mhm.
I had to deal with the people who, with all of the ER stuff you could imagine. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was always an increase in the ER during full moons. I mean, it's true. So
Yeah.
knowledge is power. We're here, Rudolf Steiner talked about a lot of wisdom teachings, talk about it. We're here to learn love and wisdom. That's this incarnation of this earth. If you believe that the earth,
Yeah.
in the cosmology of that,
Yeah.
So that's what
Hey,
this
I'm
is.
just going to add this into. I got this from the youth group. They really appreciate what you're adding in here, Melissa. They're asking though, not now, but can we add to a show soon? As they're standing up and speaking, they're getting a lot of negativity from older people, and they want, it's like, where's that coming from? Should we pay attention to it, ignore it, whatever? So my quick advice is totally ignore it. But yes, we can certainly bring that into a show. What do you think, Melissa?
Absolutely. I think that parenting is hard. I think that elders are stressed. I think that a lot of times they go by the children should be seen, not heard in a lot of places.
Mhm.
And traditionally, animals are treated better than children. We had their first laws to protect animals before they protected children. That's how the Society of Prevention for Cruelty to Children started. It was mirrored after the Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Traditionally, children have just been just like women, abused, and just like people who were indigenous. I mean, we can go on and on and on about what has gone on traditionally, but children have not been treated fairly at all, and they deserve a voice. So absolutely, and what I would say is, voices, keeping a journal and really being instead of reacting. You kids, you're so strong. You just send love. You send love right back to those adults because they are just big children and they're hurting. And so, unfortunately, as children, oftentimes we come across these adults that are really angry and upset, and it doesn't make sense. But what our job to do is just to send them love. Like Chris was saying, that transmutation, and what you can do is use some color. You can put purple all around. Purple is the color of transmutation, like the wampum. You bring that purple all around, and you transmute any of that fear into love. So use your magic. Use your one of my new clients that I'm seeing. She's 11. She says she uses imagine. That's what she says when she wants things to change. She just uses imagine. And, as a Jungian analyst, that's just everything that Jung teaches in active imagination. So it's so beautiful. Yeah, use your imagination. I tell kids that all the time, your breath is your superpower. So when those adults start to get, like that, just breathe in, for 4 and breathe out for 8. You want to just try to calm yourself down as much as you can and just know that, yeah. No one's, we're just humans. Humans are hard to live with.
Yeah, and they keep, and you'll find they repeat that stuff over and over. Our youth council there. And I've seen it so many times. Recently with Standing Rock, we kept getting that nonsense when the young people would do something. Or with climate change and Greta Thunberg and the other young ones. It's the same responses. Oh, why don't you shut up and sit down? Or get back to school where you belong. Right? It's the same boring list that's been there forever. So yeah, don't pay attention to that. First of all, in my opinion, all too often, being out there in the community and speaking your voice and hearing others speak is a hell of a lot more education than we get in too many schools, sadly. So it's a good mix. You want to have some of that. You don't want to just sit in a desk listening to somebody for 12 years and think you're educated because you've missed the world. So yeah, keep it up, guys. And I know that we have some active Future Friday ones in that group. Oh, looks like we've hit the magic number already. I guess we should wrap it up. This was a really good show. Who likes to close? Chris, are you still there and awake or no?
I can close if you want.
Can you? Just so we'd have balance. Valerie opened.
Yep. Okay. Great Spirit, ancestors, relatives, all that is here with us, guides, helpers, source. We give thanks for your guidance, your input, your transmissions through those of us who have been able to come from our in touch place with you. We give thanks to all of this. Thanks for the gifts of knowledge, wisdom, and sharing that have been shared here in this group. Give thanks to all those participants, those physically and those on the phone lines, their brothers and sisters in Pine Ridge and beyond Pine Ridge. We thank you. Thank you all, and thank you for your input, and thank you for your gifts. Aho.
Aho. Thank you, brother. So yeah, parting shot also from the folks, our youth council there. They're really looking forward to this every week. They're bringing in new people. Some of the young people can't be here, but they're playing the recordings afterward. That's great. And they really appreciate what we're doing. And once again, I'll throw it back on them. We really appreciate that they're here and bringing that particular voice into the argument. No, not the argument, the discussion. I didn't mean argument. I don't know where that came from. So this was good. Everybody, thank you. Maybe next week I can actually be on a program without getting thrown off. We'll see. Maybe I was supposed to get thrown off. Who knows? Don't know what we're doing next week. We'll see. It'll come to us. And please remember, anybody that has topics they want to toss up, feed them in, put them in the a Gathering of Eagles group, or let one of us know, or however you want to do it, and we'll give it some thought. If it works, we'll add it in. What else?
I just want to thank the children. Yeah. I'm so happy. I could feel their love. So sending love right back to each and every one of those munchkins and seeing them in beautiful, heart-centered light.
Yep. I was on with them the other day, and I forget how it came up, but Tom asked me to discuss a couple topics with him. So I was there. And at one point I said children, and I immediately got reprimanded. Hey, we're youth. So, we're young people. So, yep. So I took my reprimand in stride. So, yeah, funny. But that's good. We want them to really feel their superpowers, like you said, Melissa. That's right. We all have superpowers. And they don't have to be major, but they're effective. So thanks for everybody here. Wow, everybody here physically, everybody out in the ethers up there on the res, and everybody who hears this later. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Night all.
Good night.
Night. Thanks, Valerie.